Well, good evening, everyone. It is my distinct pleasure to be up here tonight to introduce tonight's keynote speaker, Russell Gottesman. Russ, along with his wife and business partner Katie Hill, co-founded Commuter Advertising a few years ago, and the company is the first provider of location and time-based audio sponsorship messages that play on public transportation vehicles. Commuter Advertising then shares the revenues with transit agencies that desperately need the money. Now, before coming to Dayton, Russ ran offices for Westwood One and CBS Radio up in Chicago. And after co-founding Commuter Advertising in 2008, Russ won DePaul University's business plan competition. Russ, by the way, is also an MBA graduate of DePaul, which we'll forgive him for, where he concentrated in entrepreneurship, of course. But Commuter Advertising's first contract was actually with the Dayton Regional Transit Authority. So Russ moved to Dayton to the Entrepreneurs Center, which is just a few miles from our campus. And in 2010, Russ and Commuter Advertising won the business plan competition that we sponsor here at UD, which, by the way, is a heck of a lot better than DePaul's. just wanted to get that in. So since then, Russ has won the 2011 Soin Innovation Award. He's also secured investments from both VC and angel groups, including our own Flyer Angels. And thanks to Russ's leadership, Commuter Advertising today has and reaches over 100 million rides and holds transit contracts in 8 cities across the United States. And maybe here's the best part from our standpoint. And Russ has been hiring our students, 10 UD grads in just the past 2 years. And indeed, Russ is a proud member of the Karate Advisory Council, which helps shape the direction of our entrepreneurship program. And candidly, we consider Russ and Katie members of our UD family. And speaking of family, Russ is also a new father, with daughter Elaine Elizabeth, born a few short months ago, 4 months ago. And I'm sure, Russ, you're not getting too much sleep these days. But sleep deprived or not, we are very excited to have Russ here with us tonight to tell his story. So please join me in welcoming tonight's keynote speaker, Russell Gottesman.
So I was just getting ready to graduate from my undergraduate degree, similar to Melissa, who gave an excellent speech. I really enjoyed that. And it kind of occurred to me that I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do with myself in my entire career. So I was at my friend Matt's house, and I said, hey, Matt, Matt is a great guy. Wasn't the most studious person I've ever met in my entire life, but great personality and a really good friend. And I'm at his apartment, and I go to Matt, and I said, hey, you're diligently working on your resume. And I said, can I take a look at that? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And so I pull out this resume, I'm reading it, and it says, I oversaw the restoration of a 3-story Victorian mansion on time and under budget. I was like, whoa, like what the heck have you been up to? That's actually pretty impressive. And he said, no, actually I painted my parents' house and it took me 3 summers to get it done. And so from that point forward, I knew what an entrepreneur truly was. And, it turns out that Matt actually was a great, entrepreneur in his own right. He opened up a string of Halloween stores in Minneapolis, and he works really hard, granted, for 4 months of the year, but he travels the other 8. So, it made me realize that entrepreneurship, it's really about putting in all that effort and you get out what you put in. And so you can really own it. And that's the really cool thing about entrepreneurship. It also reminded me of the fact that it's probably a pretty good idea to work for yourself, which is kind of cool too, right? So the question remained, though. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I started thinking, diligently on what I wanted to do. And back then, we didn't have Entrepreneur Center, like the Karate Center for Entrepreneurship, and people like Bob Shelley, who has given his life for the last 10 years to really raise this and kind of grow it and have all these wonderful students that are here. And, we certainly didn't have a sales center like Dean McFarland, building here at the University of Dayton. In fact, entrepreneurs back then, they were kind of looked upon as kind of cast-offs. Like, what's up with this guy? The parents are probably looking at him saying, hey, maybe I should have a conversation and tell this guy to go to law school or something. Like he actually wants to open up his own store. It's kind of crazy. But really, the reality is that without entrepreneurs, we wouldn't have the Apples and the Googles and the Motorola's of this world. You know, the entrepreneurs that are working so hard to be able to create job growth in this company, which is where, you know, job growth happens, is from us entrepreneurs. So I decided to do something. I believed in myself, and I had my first great idea. The idea was pretty simple. I wanted to connect radio, which was my passion. I graduated with a degree in broadcast journalism and a minor in business. And I wanted to do something a little bit different. Instead of having a traditional FM radio station, I said, well, what if you took that and you put it on the internet? So it was, you know, something that was called internet radio. And it was kind of neat because this was back in 1999, which is about 6 or 7 years before Pandora. And you saw what happened with those guys. They went public, they're billionaires, and I'm not. So I did something that was really important, though. I wrote my first business plan. And everyone that's, you know, in the school here, in the center, knows just how important it is. Because you can have a great idea, but you need to be able to take that idea and kind of organize your thoughts and really take something and build something with it. So I learned how to do that. I learned how to manage from the top down. The company actually grew to be the biggest internet radio station in the Southwest. I raised a couple $100,000 in capital, seed capital, kind of get the thing going. We had 20 people working for us. 14 of them were student interns. You know, four or five are on the actual payroll. And it was really neat. So I learned how to manage from the top down at an early age. I learned the importance of teamwork and culture and being a good person. And so, you know, it was just a wonderful experience. I was 22, 23, 24 years old when I did it. So I decided to sell the business back to my business partner for not much. I ended up moving back to Chicago. And when I moved back to Chicago, I moved with 2 boxes and enough money to kind of keep me going for the first year to figure out what it is that I wanted to do. So I ended up taking a job in advertising sales with a company that Dean mentioned, with Westwood One. And the job called for me selling little traffic commercials that were attached to traffic reports. So imagine traffic is building up on I-75. This traffic report is being brought to you by the University of Dayton's Karate Center for Entrepreneurship, where the best and the brightest and the coolest students happen to reside. So it would be something like that. We would just go out and sell those to companies. So it was right around that time I had my second really great idea. And I was riding an L train coming back from a Chicago White Sox game. For any Chicago fans are in the audience there, all right? We got one. And I had the second great idea. I was riding the train with my beautiful wife, Katie. And the idea was, well, why can't we do those same audio commercials, but instead of on the inside of your car, you can do them on the inside of your bus or train. So we have